Hello, welcome to the second video in the unit on the right triangles for Mr. Alexander's geometry class. I'm just going to actually, in this video, what we really did was just apply the Pythagorean theorem to a bunch of different problems. And remember, the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And this is in a right triangle where c is what we call the hypotenuse. And remember, that just means the longest of the three sides. And this only applies to triangles with a right angle, as we learned in class. So the first thing we did was we did this 5-minute warm-up where I said, find the measurement of x here. And in order to do that, to use the Pythagorean theorem, we would need to know two of the sides in the right triangle. So we don't know this side here. And we use, let's just call that y. And so we have to actually do the Pythagorean theorem twice to figure this out. And the first step, though, is to identify the hypotenuse, which, remember, it's the side that's across from the right angle. It's also the longest of the three sides. So I could treat in this upper triangle here, the one that I'll just sort of outline in yellow, I could treat that number 17 as the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. So I'll substitute that in place of C. And then A and B, pardon me, are interchangeable. So I could, for instance, say that 8 is equal to A. So I'll say 8 squared. And then I don't know what Y is, so I'll leave that alone. So then I have to go through this process. 8 times 8 is 64. 17 times 17 is 289. And when you go through the solution process, right, I know that 64 plus a number equals 289. Well, that number is 225. And then I would just take the square root of 225 and I get 15. So that turns out that y was 15 right here. So now that I know that y is 15, if I go down to this lower triangle, and I see that I can, this green one here, I can treat that 15 as the hypotenuse in the lower triangle. So maybe I'll do my work over here, and I'll just say that 9 squared plus x squared equals 15 squared because, right, again, 15 is the hypotenuse. It's the longest of the three sides. And 15 to the second power, as we know, is 225 because it showed up right here. 9 to the second power is 81, and I don't know x yet. So then, 81 plus x squared equals 225. That means x squared is 144, and I'll bet you remember that the square root of 144 is 12. So that was our long-winded way of, you have to use the Pythagorean theorem twice to find that length is 12 units long. And then what we did was we broke out into breakout rooms and worked on these area problems. And so I'm going to do these solutions really fast in this video. If at any time it's going too fast for you, you just have to pause it and try to understand everything. I want to mention that in a right triangle, the base and the height are the two legs of the triangle because the base and the height of a triangle make a 90-degree angle. So I asked everybody to find the area of these shapes, and the area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. And so if we look at this lower triangle, we could think of 9 as the base, and we just don't know the height. And so we have to use the Pythagorean theorem to figure that out. We would say, 9 squared plus the height squared equals 19 squared. And we're going to get decimals here. 19 squared is 361. And if you subtract 81, you get h squared equals 280. And then when you take the square root, that means that height is about 16.7. It's more like 16.73, blah, 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 blah. But anyhow, I can use that now to find the area of this triangle by doing 1/2 times the base times the height. And you could use a calculator and chug it through, but you get about 75. It's 75.15 square feet. And then we have to do the same thing here to find what I'll call height 2, because we don't know that yet. Only we have a different triangle, right? And now that 16.7 is the actual hypotenuse of that triangle. So I don't know height 2, but I do know, equals 16.7 squared. And you can go through this process. I'm just going to, it would be the same as this, right? You'd 25, and then you'd subtract it from 16.7 and take the square root. You'd find that height 2 is almost exactly 16. It's like, let's say 15.9. And so then you would just find this area by doing 1/2 times the base, which is 5, times the height, which is 15.9. And I believe you get 39.75. And you add these two things together to find the full area, and the area was 114.9 or so square feet. So you had to use the Pythagorean theorem twice to find two different heights, and then you had to use those heights to find the areas. I'm just going to do one more of the problems that we did in class, and it was this one. So here we have a trapezoid, and there's multiple ways to find the area of a trapezoid. I'm going to do it sort of a little bit longer route, but one that's was pretty understandable. But we still need to find the base of this. We need to find this length x here, basically. And luckily, there's a right angle here, and that means that I can treat 10 as the hypotenuse. So I can say that x squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. And then go through the process. This one's pretty easy because you get whole numbers. You subtract, oh my gosh, 64. My brain's working faster than my hand. You subtract 64 from each side, and you get x squared equals 36. And then the square root of 36 is 6. And so that means that this is 6 units in length. So the area of each of these triangles is 1/2 times the base, which is 6, times the height, which is 8. And that equals 24. So this is 24 here, and this is an identical congruent triangle, which is 24. And the area of this rectangle is just the base, 17, times the height, which is 8, which I believe is 136. So add all these areas together, and you get a total of 184 square millimeters. But again, we had to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for for this length here, which we then use to find area. I will post all of the solutions to Schoology. There are 2 others that involve circles beyond these 2. But that was what we covered in class on Thursday and Friday.